It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, a Florida pastor is awakened by a Ring camera with a frightening sight.
It's a gorgeous start to our Friday, albeit a chilly one as well. We even have freeze warnings in effect right now. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center and look ahead to a Halloween weekend.
And we're hanging out at the Waco Schoolhouse Haunt where the KOA Morning News on Fox 14 starts right now!
Thanks for joining us on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities search for a man in connection to a homicide in Vernon County, Missouri. The body of a 63-year-old woman was found on Quail Road near the Kansas state line in the Deerfield area. Neighbors say they saw police presence at this house close to the intersection with T Highway. Vernon County Sheriff's Office requested assistance from the Highway Patrol for the investigation. And the Hot Springs, Arkansas Police Department yesterday also released information on a suspicious package found at a Hot Springs Walmart. They found possible evidence in a trash bag in the back of a pickup truck that was later connected to the investigation in Vernon County. And through surveillance video, they discovered the package was put in the truck at a hotel the night before. Hot Springs, Arkansas Police Department is looking for Aaron Goodman in connection with the homicide. He's wanted for abandonment of a corpse. They believe he is armed and dangerous and say he was last seen in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Kansas Bureau of Investigation finishes its investigation into an officer-involved shooting that happened on Friday. KBI says 32-year-old Wesley Jordan died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. With COVID concerns, many people are deciding to vote early across the nation and here in the 4 states. And according to Jasper County Clerk Charlie Davis, the county has more than double the number of absentee ballots this year than in the 2016 presidential election. Davis says the majority of those voting early are senior citizens and people taking advantage of the modified rules for voting absentee.
I think it was really good that the legislature did this and allowed those that are at risk opportunity to cast their vote without experiencing the potential exposure to COVID.
We'll have links on deadlines for absentee ballots on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Hardware store that's been serving Fort Scott for almost 50 years will soon be getting a roughly $300,000 makeover. That's thanks to some help from the state of Kansas. Mako Ace Hardware will receive a community development block grant worth almost $225,000, and the owner will contribute roughly $75,000 in matching funds. That money will go towards roof and ceiling repair and replacement, window and door replacement, and making the store ADA accessible as well as more energy efficient. Work is expected to kick off sometime in early 2021. The owner hopes it will be wrapped up by early summer. Fort Scott City Commissioners discussed their search for a new city manager. The current city manager, Dave Martin, announced his retirement last week. His last day will be today. City Commissioners say they're in talks with a company to search for qualified candidates, but want to make sure the price is right.
And we'd like some time to digest it because it's a flat rate of $7,900 is what we believe to start off with them to research and bring us candidates. And you know, with decreasing population and things of that nature, we would like to make sure that every penny we have is spent wisely.
At the meeting, city commissioners also voted to switch their insurance provider to a local agency. City of Joplin released new drawings of the proposal for Joplin's Memorial Hall at a meeting this week. On Tuesday, officials held another public meeting to discuss the latest survey results for the future of Memorial Hall. The survey focused on preliminary drawings of potential design changes to the building. These new drawings were also released, providing a more detailed look at what the future of the building could be. These latest drawings are now part of a third survey the city is conducting.
You know, if there's any changes and comments from the public, then SFS Architecture will kind of tweak it, and that'll go on to their next report that's going to be presented.
That survey is available on the city's website. A Florida pastor is on the hunt for answers following a spooky sighting in his home. Police chaplain Monzel Ford was in bed when he received a motion alert from his living room camera. He checked his phone. What? And he saw this, a mysterious floating orb on the video feed. Okay, that was spooky. But when he went to the room, nothing was there, but the bizarre orb was still on the live feed. It came and went for hours and at one point even split into several shapes. The spooky phenomenon has led to some spirited debate and has left this man of faith searching for answers. It's such a perfect, like, oval. Like you'd think it'd have like faded edges.
You know me, Mr. Skeptic over here.
It's too perfect.
You know that I'm a skeptic. I don't want to ruin the Halloween fun. So I'll let you go ahead and enjoy it. And
it's timely, let's put it that way.
it's probably an electrical phenomenon of some point that took place in his home that actually has probably been going on if you couldn't see it with the naked eye. Yep, there's skeptical hayslip for you. Rearing his ugly head on this Friday morning.
You know what's cool though is what's happening. Is it tonight or tomorrow when it officially happens, where we will get that perfect circle?
Tomorrow.
Full moon.
Halloween. All right, here's what we've got outside of Television City. Absolutely gorgeous start. First time all week long we've been able to get a good shot of sunrise, and reason being, clean Skywatch storm tracker, no precipitation, no cloud cover. Now that being said, we still do have freeze warnings throughout northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas all the way until 9 a.m. That's the dark purple. The lighter purple indicates a frost advisory running right along the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. From the Freeman Health System sky camera, seeing a little patchy frost out there. 31 degrees is where we stand. Had a little difference in our wind chill from earlier, kind of normalizing now because the wind's not too bad, but everybody just kind of right at, if not a touch below the freezing point. Looks like Lamar might be the coldest place we have right now, all the way down to 27 degrees. Everything on the backside of the remnants of Zeta is extremely dry all the way to the west coast right there, and cool too. Look at that, we've got the same temperature as Minneapolis right now. As far as our weather trend for today, just let that sun kick in. By the time we get to the noon hour, we're talking about the 50s, top out over here in the 60s, and then certainly not as cool tomorrow morning as what we're experiencing right now. For Saturday, Halloween for the kiddos and whatnot, it's if you got afternoon activities, back up into the 60s, and then when they take off at night, say after sunset, going to be high 40s, low 50s. Just absolutely perfect. Don't need to worry about any rain or anything like that. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a dry 7-day forecast, and then a warming trend just in time for Election Tuesday. We'll actually see some 70s in that first week of November. Tanya?
Up next, we're going to show you how to stay safe from COVID-19 this Halloween season. And Jesse is getting spooked.
We're here at the Waco Schoolhouse Haunt, where we're learning all sorts of new stuff. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
The Halloween spirit is alive and well, and many communities are safely enjoying the holiday despite the pandemic. Ashley Stromier looks at some of the creative ideas people have come up with.
The coronavirus isn't scaring people away from celebrating Halloween this year. While it may not look like traditional trick-or-treating, families across the country are still finding creative and safe ways to hand out sweets. From candy zip lines to candy catapults.
Everything going on, everybody just needs to feel happy, find something to laugh at.
And even candy robots.
We added the arm extender with lollipops so that we can socially distance from people while still hand out candy. And there's a bubble blowing machine on the other hand. I think I spent almost like $200 on duct tape.
One popular idea is the candy chute, 6-foot tubes that can dispense treats from a distance.
I'm safe up there, kids are safe down there. Let's go ahead and get them some candy. So I bought some Clorox wipes, I wiped my hands, I wiped the bag of candy.
Businesses are also getting into the spooky spirit. One event company in Calabasas, California has turned its annual Halloween display into a contactless drive-through.
We have multiple production crews on scene and lighting and tech and carvers, about between 4,000 to 5,000 pumpkins all in for the show.
These socially distant celebrations might be a treat for retailers. While many Halloween stores were concerned about losing money this year, there's actually been a surge in sales, mostly decorations instead of costumes.
Props have been flying off the shelf.
If you're still looking for some fun ideas, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends carving pumpkins at home, visiting an orchard, or having an outdoor costume parade. Well, here's an interesting fact about the ogre-faced spider ahead of Halloween. Scientists have learned they can hear. Yes, this is the ogre face. It does have an ogre face. They say this spider can hear even though it doesn't have ears. It turns out they're able to listen through sound receptors on their legs, including the leg hairs. They can detect sounds from at least 6.5 feet away and are sensitive to frequencies up to 10 kilohertz. The research showed spiders use auditory cues to detect and capture the flying prey.
I don't think it's a fair. I think it's a pretty cool looking thing right there.
Their legs are so important to them. They can even hear through their legs.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
Like even the face on that thing, I thought that thing's pretty cool looking. That's cool story right there. I like that.
Neat.
All right, Tanya, it's amazing how quickly we picked up on our precipitation, not only for the month of October, but also we're now above where we'd historically be going back to January 1. There's a very wet week throughout the 4 states. We saw some places, isolated areas, that got as much as 6 inches of rain. But now as we transition into the last 2 days of October and get ready for November, we're going to be sunny and dry. That's going to be the theme throughout the entire Midwest. Can't even pick up any cloud cover right there. Still a cold Friday with freeze warnings in the dark purple throughout northeast Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas. Get on the bottom side of that lighter purple or blue, if you will. That is a frost advisory. So from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin, 31 degrees, right below the freezing point, as low as 27 right now in Lamar, 34 in Welch, and let's go 28 in Nevada. Not a big gap when we talk about wind chills, but we are seeing a 24 in Iola, 30 in Carthage. It's really only about 2-3 degrees, but I found this interesting. The fact that we've got the same temperature as Minneapolis. Now, everything west of the Mississippi, extremely dry. And of course, that's of no relief for everybody out west with the wildfires. It does give us a chance to dry out a little bit. It got to lift all our flood watches and warnings that we had from yesterday. And the sun puts us up into the 50s by noon and all the way up into the 60s here during our peak heating hours of the afternoon. So as we transition into a Halloween Saturday, remember, number one, it's going to be our second full moon of the year. And just going to happen just coincidentally on Halloween. And then look at this. 50s, maybe dropping down to the low 40s if the kids are out a little later. It's going to be perfect. They don't have any weather concerns when they're out and about. On the 7-day forecast, as we wrap up October and begin November, it's a little chilly there on the first couple of days, but then look at this. We're already back up close to 70 by Election Tuesday on November the 3rd. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. There's something to talk about this morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. It's about scary Halloween movies and asking if you're a fan of them and which one do you like. Vicki Eldred says, favorite Halloween movie, Hocus Pocus. Life is scary enough without watching a movie trying to scare you and giving you nightmares. Julie Dawn, the original Amityville and Entity. And Heather Garrow, she went with Hocus Pocus and provided us a picture as well. On the KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, we've seen a complete change as far as our question. Definitely not liking scary movies. Now up to 50% of the vote, followed by I'm a horror fanatic. We just go the opposite direction with 30%. Now with Halloween coming up tomorrow, we turned Jesse Irwin loose and asked him to go check out the Waco Schoolhouse Haunt. Jesse.
Yes. I'm terrified, Michael. I mean, that's really what this comes down to. We are having a really fun time here at the Waco Schoolhouse Haunt, and I'm joined by Megan Stanley, who does the makeup at Schoolhouse Haunt for all of the actors and actresses, and I mean, Alexis is one of them. Look at this. Megan, what are you making her look like?
Right now, I'm doing more of a zombie kind of like Stitch. Look, I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah. Well, have you ever done makeup that doesn't look like it's a medical emergency?
No. I mean, yes. I mean, I do like bridal and all that, but for the most part, no. Usually it's all gore.
Where'd you learn how to do all this?
So I am self-taught. When I was little, my dad would bring me out to the spook house, and I just loved all the masks and all the horror of it. And the first year I worked here, I just started doing my makeup, and ever since then, it's been 8 years, and I just go with it.
That's wild. So, I mean, you're doing everybody's makeup. How much makeup are you knocking out right before this starts? And yeah, I mean, how much time does it take you?
So I knock out probably about 15 people in about an hour to an hour and a half worth of time to get everyone ready. So
how is that physically possible?
Years of practice, being good at what you do, kind of, I guess, would be the main thing.
Well, have you seen a change in what scares people? I mean, have things had to get more gory? Have they had to get closer to reality? I mean, how do you change it and evolve it?
So honestly, it just depends. So I talk to my bosses on kind of like what they would like to see this year, or if they change scenes throughout the spook house. And then it also depends on what scene the actor is in, on what makeup I do. So what lighting would look best with this makeup, or if it's a zombie, or if it's in the hospital, you want it to look more, you want it to go with the scenes that you're on.
Right. So ultimately, when you look at what you do, I mean, do you even get scared anymore? I mean, this is really scary, but do you get spooked?
So weirdly enough, I am deathly afraid of the dark, and I stay here and do all this makeup. I work in a spook house. I'll walk through the entire thing, but you tell me to go stand in the middle of a field in pitch black darkness, I won't do it. And I love scary movies. So, I mean, do I get spooked still sometimes? Yes. It's just, I don't know, it's weird. I can do all this, but...
Oh my goodness. Well, what's your favorite scary movie?
It'd probably have to be Saw. The gore and the mind games that they play behind it. I love watching that kind of stuff.
Some talented people are here at the Schoolhouse Haunt, and we're going to continue to be here all morning, as long as I don't run out of the building screaming. But yeah, we're hanging out here this morning, and we're going to toss it back to you guys, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit. Well, Halloween is just one day away, but if you ask Halloween costume shop owners, they say you wouldn't maybe even know it. Danielle Miller has the story.
My sales are probably down about 75%.
That's the frightening reality for Fun Costumes owner Angie Ott. She's been in business for 30 years, and never before has she experienced a season quite like this.
I usually do a big rental business, and I'm not seeing that. I haven't done a lot of kids this year. We have, over the past years, had people who come in and they have like 30 people come in for just that party, and we costume them all. This year, because they're smaller family gatherings, we maybe get, 4 to 6 people.
At this same time last year, there was about 2 to 3 masks left here in the store, but as you can see right here, the shelf is still fully stocked.
My makeup counter usually is cleared out at this time. All my basics are gone, and I still have a lot of my color palettes, my character kits, and my basics are still in stock.
Because this year has been anything but spooktacular, people say they're still trying to have a little fun, and some aren't changing plans at all.
Let them dress up, have fun. We're going to go to my daughter's house, and the kids, we're going to make up some little games for them so they could win candy.
One of my favorite holidays, and me not being able to go out with my nephews or nieces is kind of rough because they do much, but we're just more family time than anything.
Ott says every year Halloween is what keeps her Mesa business afloat. But if she has another year as scary as 2020, the doors may have to close.
Well, 2020 has absolutely been scary, but I'll tell you what, we are close to 2021, and tomorrow being Halloween, we're getting even closer. We're hanging out at the Waco Schoolhouse Haunt. We're going to have more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 for you after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:29. Let's take a look at today's top story. Authorities search for a man in connection to a homicide in Vernon County, Missouri. The body of a 63-year-old woman was found on Quail Road near the Kansas state line in the Deerfield area. Neighbors say they saw police presence at this house close to the intersection with T Highway. The Vernon County Sheriff's Office requested assistance from the Highway Patrol for the investigation. And the Hot Springs, Arkansas Police Department yesterday also released information on a suspicious package found at a Hot Springs Walmart. They found possible evidence in a trash bag in the back of a pickup truck that was later connected to the investigation in Vernon County. Through surveillance video, they discovered the package was put in the truck at a hotel the night before. The Hot Springs, Arkansas Police Department is looking for Aaron Goodman in connection with the homicide. He is wanted for abandonment of a corpse. They believe he is armed and dangerous and say he was last seen in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Saturday looks to be a little spookier this year with the sky illuminated by a blue moon. Now, this will also be the first blue moon in the U.S. since March of 2018. Despite its name, a blue moon is not necessarily blue. The phrase, once in a blue moon, usually means a rare occurrence that can either be lucky or unlucky.
The skeptic in me is going to do a 180. I think it's extremely lucky.
I'm going with lucky as well because, you know, for many of us, 2020 hasn't been the best year.
There you go.
So I think this is like a turn of the tide. You know, why not?
Known as the Hunter's Moon, this one. And as Tanya was saying, the reason it's considered a blue moon is because it will be our second full moon within the span of 1 month. And it'll actually be what they call full moon weekend because it was huge this morning and it's going to stay that way all the way into Sunday night, Monday morning.
Michael, one last thing I just have to say.
Yeah.
This moon is definitely something to howl about.
That was about as cheesy as our production Muzak version of Thriller that they tried to open this half hour with. All right, Tanya, this is a live look outside of Television City, just kind of soaking this in because it's the first time all week that we've been able to provide you with a sunrise scene because of the cloud cover that we've had. Weather Almanac shows we caught up on precipitation quick this week. Going to end October with 4.35 inches, and that puts our yearly total dating back to Jan 1 above where we'd historically be. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we are clear as can be. This is not only with the satellite cover, but also the precipitation. The entire Midwest, just pretty bland. Entire Midwest, also pretty chilly. Freeze warnings for northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas until 9 a.m. Below that, you've got a frost advisory running right along the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line. Freeman Hill says, sky camera, looks like a little frost there on the ground. 31 degrees is where we are right now. Just wait, that sun's going to kick in. We're going to be just fine. But it's 29 right now in Pittsburgh, 31 in Neosho, 33 in Chanute. Not a big difference as far as the temperature and the wind chill, so that's kind of a nice thing. But you can tell, look at that. We're on par with where Minneapolis is right now temperature-wise. We'll beat them to the punch, though. We're going to get plenty of sunshine, be able to be in the 50s by the noon hour and the 60s by the time we get to our peak hours of the afternoon. Future Track will show you clear on Friday, clear on Saturday, clear on Sunday. It's going to be a great weekend for the kids to go trick-or-treating. Much more mild Saturday morning than what we experienced today. And then 7:30, 7:40, sunset, kids taking off. Look at that, 50s, high 40s. Just can't beat it. Sunday's going to be delightful as well. Now remember, Sunday's a little bit cooler, but the important thing about Sunday morning, don't forget to set those clocks back for good old-fashioned Central Standard Time, and then Election Tuesday, 70 and sunny. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. But first, we take this time to honor this morning's four-state hero. John Henning, a corporal in the United States Army, served in Europe from 1941 to 1945, fighting in the Battle of the Bulge in Cologne. A native of Hepler, Kansas, we salute you, Corporal John Henning, this morning's four-state hero. Something to talk about this morning on the Facebook page, scary movies. We'll go to Sherry Davis, who says she likes the classics, Dracula with Bela Lugosi, The Mummy, The Wolfman, and the Abbott and Costello movies where they meet Dracula, Wolfman, and Frankenstein. That is a classic. Tracy Monty Goodwin, she likes the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Took her 2 times to get through the entire movie. On our Insta poll this morning, you go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Do you like scary movies? 50% saying no thank you, followed by the exact opposite, 31% saying, yeah, I'm a horror movie fanatic. We're just trying to figure out if Jesse is really a fanatic of haunted houses. So we dispatched him out to the Waco schoolhouse, and he joins us now live. Jesse?
Yeah, Michael, you done good. We are hanging out at the Waco Schoolhouse Haunt, and we are joined this morning by none other than Cameron Jansen, who is one of the actors behind the personalities that you will encounter if you come and get a degree here at the schoolhouse. We are also joined by a terrifying individual and pet owner. Cameron, you have your personality of Skittles, right? Can you get into Skittles' character and explain to me, like, what this change, how do you morph into the character that is Skittles?
So, it's all part of, just putting the mask on really and just kind of like sinking into being a different person. When you put the mask on, it turns you into someone else. Turns you into a monster, basically. Or as my monster would be called, as Skittles.
And are you trying to, do you get into that right away? Or is it a slow transformation? You say things to yourself?
Well, sometimes you just kind of talk funny. Right. You smell funny. Other times you just be crazy.
Right.
It's a switch. You put the mask on, you talk funny, and you scare people.
Wow. So when you started developing the character of Skittles, is it constantly evolving or what?
Yeah, so here's the thing. When I'm at work doing my job, I'm constantly thinking of different things I can do. And it's just, it's a switch. I can talk like this
or I can talk normal.
Right.
It just depends on what people are scared of. And I think when I'm a different person, when I talk crazy and I do weird stuff like, or something weird, people hate it. So that's why I do it.
Did you grow up loving scary stuff like this? Or
I did. So my first thing I ever did was when I was 14, I did a spook trail for 4-H. And ever since I did that, it's been my hobby. I love it.
Wow. Now, I understand that you work in the restaurant industry outside of this. And
correct.
What's the difference in approaching a customer here versus a customer at a dining
okay,
experience?
So, when you're at a restaurant, you got to be polite. But when you're here,
you can talk crazy and you can be weird. And you go up to a guest talking like this, they're going to look at you and they're going to say you're fired, it's a completely different thing, and when you're talking crazy, people think you're weird, but when you're behind a mask, you can do whatever you want and it's okay.
Well, we appreciate you joining. This is fantastic. Do you have a mask I can try on?
Absolutely.
Really?
We put it right here.
Oh my goodness.
Well, let's look at that.
So I can actually. All right, I'm gonna try to put this on here.
It's so pretty.
All right, I'm gonna put this on, and then we'll be right back on Fox 14.
Well, candy zip lines, candy tubes, even a giant robot. There are so many different ways that people are making the most of Halloween this year. And I'll tell you what, Grace Lim, it shows us many of those methods that people are gearing up for Halloween.
The community of Ballard is getting into the holiday spirit, not only with creative holiday decorations, but also creative ways to safely hand out candy.
Halloween is not dead in Ballard and surrounding towns, but like many things during the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, trick-or-treating is going to look a lot different. From candy slides.
Well, we wanted to build a COVID candy delivery system so that we could share candy and celebrate Halloween with the local kids.
To a candy zip line.
I'm Russell from Up.
He's the mastermind behind this creation.
So you're not actually near anybody during the thing. This is probably more than 6 feet.
And check this out. Yes, it is a life-size robot. The creator wants to remain anonymous.
So it's inspired by the Megabot robot, which is a really cool giant life-size robot that I've seen at the Maker Faire before.
And the robot comes with all the bells and whistles.
We added the arm extender with lollipops so that we can socially distance from people will still hand out candy, and there's a bubble blowing machine on the other hand. I think I spent almost like $200 on duct tape.
They're all creative efforts to save Halloween this year and make it spooktacular, but most importantly, safe.
Just trying to get some normalcy back. He's just really excited about Halloween and kind of the first normal thing that's come along.
And thanks to Seattle's Trick or Street blocks permits that will allow streets to close off from traffic on Halloween, many streets will be celebrating under the full moon.
Our street is actually closing down, and we're going to have a whole street party and laser tag, so I'm looking forward to the whole event.
Well, Minnesota residents get quite the scare and a scrub at the haunted car wash. Cars lining up at Soapy Joe's Haunted Car Wash in St. Paul. The unique business idea combines a much-needed car wash with a fun Halloween outing. Once inside, costumed employees scrub down your car with blood-colored soap in a workspace transformed with a fog machine. You've got strobe lights, decorations. The drive-through haunted car wash doesn't require any human contact, which allows families to stay inside their vehicles, safe from any COVID-19 risks, but of course open for any scares. With that, you've also got the underwater pumpkin carving. Oh my goodness. I mean, who says that Halloween can only be celebrated on dry land? And nobody did. But if they did, they would be proven wrong, because the Seattle Aquarium is putting on its own deep sea spin on the spooky holiday throughout the week. Scuba divers are hard at work carving pumpkins underneath the water, and the Halloween festivities are taking place right next to the fish as guests watch from behind the glass. Now, after each carving session, the divers' handiwork is kept on display in the exhibit, giving the ocean critters a chance to experience some trick-or-treat magic. And last, but of course not least, the Ghostbusters home. A Wisconsin family looks to take down Zool with their Ghostbusters-themed Halloween display. The owners, Aaron and Jamie, do a big Halloween display every year. This year, they decided to honor those 80s icons, known for taking down the demons and annihilating apparitions. Now, the Ghostbusters firehouse is there, plus slimier, but I mean, look, it's coming out of a hot dog carton. The famous proton pack battle. This is no ordinary house. It's decorated for the holiday. It's known in the neighborhood as A&J's Halloween House, and they've been doing elaborate displays for about 17 years now. And they've used the last few years to raise money for an organization that helps kids in crisis called Pathfinders Milwaukee. So we're hanging out here at the Waco Schoolhouse. I am officially in costume, or more in character. Coming up, we're going to learn how to scare people and how to do it right. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back after this. Well, we are hanging out here at the Waco Schoolhouse Haunt. I'm Jesse Irwin with KOAM News, but of course, we're changing into some characters this morning. And I'm actually joined by Skittles, who is a pro when it comes to the art of scaring people. Now, Skittles, thank you for joining us, sir. I want to ask you, what is the number one thing you think about before you go to scare someone?
Well, sometimes I'm like, okay, my bosses say I can't hurt anybody. But sometimes just the bones, just the crunchiness they give when you bite into them, they just taste so good. And, Skittles loves the taste of Skittles and bones and blood. And, it just makes me a little crazy,
Terrifying. So I want to ask you, when you see someone, you're getting ready to scare them, what are you evaluating? Because do you want to scare somebody who's really afraid, or do you want to scare somebody who doesn't look scared at all?
So when I scare a group, I kind of looked at the whole entire group, and some are going to be more scared than others. And if someone's already really scared, I'm going to go after someone that's not as scared. Okay. The guys that aren't really scared, they're scared. They don't want to show you they're scared because they don't want to be embarrassed and be like, oh, well, I'm scared, because they don't want to get laughed at. So those are the guys I really like going after because their whole body, they freak out, and it's hilarious to watch.
Wow. So has it become harder over the years that you've been doing this to scare people? Have you had to change your approach? Sometimes people are just scared by the sight of something as opposed to maybe more of a thriller.
So, I mean, stuff like that, it really never changes, surprisingly. You know, once you build your character and you really just say, okay, hey, I'm going to have fun, and you take the time to enjoy it and just kind of really slow down and enjoy it, it's not hard at all, and it never changes. It actually gets easier the more comfortable you are under the mask, you know, and just, you know, that you're going to scare somebody, you know, like little noises, you know, or just whatever you do, you know, you do those noises and people get terrified with it, you know, just whatever you do.
So when you come around this corner, what was your approach with trying to scare us?
So, you know, it's evaluating you, you know. So if I'm coming around here and someone's watching me, but they don't really see or know what I'm doing, you know, like I have a chain, you know, I can kind of make a little noise, kind of crouch. People don't like the crawling, you know, if you kind of crawl, you just kind of look all weird. All that goes into the art of scare. It's not just about noises or what I do. It's the whole surrounding. You put them in an environment that they don't feel comfortable in, and their mind automatically tells them, hey, this is not okay. And that's part of the scare, because they feel that something's actually going to happen to them. So that makes my job 10 times easier.
Well, all right. I want you to come around the corner once, and then I want to give this a shot. So do it for us once here.
I'm going to show you the easiest way to do it.
Okay, he's going to show us the easiest way to do this. This is Skittles coming around the corner. Right. That was, okay. All right, so you had the snarl with it.
I had the snarl.
Okay.
And another good one, if you just kind of, you can peek too. Evaluate them, kind of look around. And you're like, ooh, I smell scaredy cats.
That's terrifying. Okay, all right. Can I give this a shot?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. I have no idea what I'm doing. You're
That's
so much
very
better at
spooky.
this. Yeah.
That was really good. Listen, that's making me, like, my stomach squeal. I didn't know if you heard it, but it was scary.
Well, hey, Skittles, we really appreciate it. You're going to be here for the whole weekend, right?
Yes, I'm going to be here Friday and Saturday. I work the crowd, so everyone come out and say hi to Skills and come out and see the whole show.
Awesome. Well, here, can you help me take this off?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. So we're going to take this off here just to show you. I'm going to toss the break. You're watching.
That's a really scary mask. That's really creeping me out, man.
It was me the whole time. We'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden head to the Midwest today for rallies in several key states, including Wisconsin and Minnesota. Yesterday, the presidential candidates focused on Florida, where the race is tight and could help decide the outcome of the Tuesday election. Hurricane Zeta has killed at least 6 people in 4 states and left a trail of destruction through a large part of the South. The storm made landfall in Louisiana and then moved into Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. A nationwide spike in coronavirus cases sounds new alarms. New infections are up in 45 states over the past 2 weeks. Nearly 95% of the U.S. population lives in a state where cases are rising. The U.S. is about to surpass 9 million confirmed cases. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Cold Friday start. Temperatures still right around the freezing mark, but wait until the noon hour. We're going to get plenty of sunshine and be able to make it up into the 50s by lunch. Top out in the 60s. Halloween going to be great for the kids. After sunset there, we're talking about, almost made it. After sunset, we're talking about temperatures in the low 50s, high 40s for Halloween. Now, don't forget, set the clock back on Sunday. And also, too, it's a perfect time to replace the batteries in the smoke alarm and also your weather radio. And then look at the warming trend as we head toward Election Tuesday. Almost 70 degrees and sunny.
Looking forward to that. Well, museums are often filled with creepy items, and these might be some of the worst. The Joplin History and Mineral Museum has gathered a collection of creepy dolls, and they want your help to determine the creepiest among them all. On the museum's Facebook page, they're posting pictures of the dolls, along with what makes them so disturbing, and they ask you to tell them which doll creeps you out the most.
Hoping that maybe we can get some more stories from the public about their own creepy dolls. But we've had a lot of people who talk about how ours look kind of scary, and we're getting some pretty good feedback on it.
Museum is also asking folks to share stories of any supernatural activity they might have experienced.
I not only enjoy.
It reminds me I have a couple porcelain creepy dolls in storage.
Not only enjoy your Halloween and your first day of November, but also too, don't forget to check out that full moon. Like I said, it's going to be apparent all weekend long. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Want to thank you for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning, a better day, and an awesome Halloween.
Parsons shares